I engineered a little bit of siyum tonight, which was, a siyum is an end. And we're here to acknowledge and to remember a great man whose life came to an end 2 years ago. But a siyum in our sources is always a finish of one thing, and we immediately go to the next step. And I believe that part of the reason we make a memorial for the niftar for Mr. David Shapell, Zichrono Livracha, is because while he finished his life in this world, it was really only a beginning of the future that he always envisioned. In this week's parsha, we have the Jewish mission statement. Before the Jewish people are going to receive the Torah, God tells Moshe to instruct them. Atem tihiyu li mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. The Jewish mission statement. A nation of priests. A sanctified nation. So, what does this mean to be a nation of priests? Mamlechet kohanim. So when we think of the word kohen, the person, the personality that should come to mind is Aaron HaKohen. We have a Mishnah that teaches us the personality traits, the qualities of Aaron HaKohen. The Mishnah instructs us, heavy mitalmidav shel Aaron. We're supposed to be students of Aaron HaKohen. Ohev shalom, love harmony and peace. Rodev shalom, pursue harmony and peace. Ohev es habrios, love the people. Umekarvan la Torah, and bring them close to Torah. And the Maral is very puzzled by these activities that are being imputed to Aaron, who we know as the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol is the person who runs the Beit HaMikdash. He ran the Holy Temple. Very, very hard work, all of the sacrifices, etc. The Holy Temple, the place where every Jew comes. But what is it? Why is Aaron connected to this Ohev Shalom, Rodev Shalom, these personality qualities? The Holy Temple was the unifier of the Jewish people. It was the focal point on earth for every Jew. It was the place where every Jew had the opportunity to have the most intimate connection with the Almighty and to be devoted to such a job as Aaron HaKohen was. He had to believe in unity of the Jewish people. He had to work hard to connect Jews to each other, and through that connecting them to the Almighty. He had to devote his life day in and day out to serving the people, and it could only come from a deep love of the people. So a love of the people, a desire for unity, a connection to the Almighty, that was the CV, if you will, of Aaron HaKohen. Ohev Shalom, Rodev Shalom, Ohev Abriot, to enable him to be the Kohen Gadol. We are commanded to be a nation of priests, a nation of Kohen. Today, with no temple, our synagogues, our shuls, our batei knesiot, and our batei midrashot, our study halls, they take the place of the Beit HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple. Well-known joke of the Jewish Robinson Crusoe, who was stranded on the desert island, and when they finally rescued him, he showed around all of the things that he had done, the animals and the vegetable patches, and he built a gym, and he had showed them the 2 shuls that he built. So of course the rescuer said, "What do you need 2 shuls?" And of course the joke is, that's the shul I daven in, and here's the shul I don't daven in. David Shapell, Zichrono Livracha, was a person who abhorred machlokas. The shul that he was a member on for decades and decades. In a few minutes we'll hear from Chazan Glickman, who was the Chazan there for decades. and I, who grew up there many decades ago, there were a number of rabbis over the years. New rabbis come in. And of course, the nature of people is always to compare the new rabbi and say why he's not as good as the last rabbi. And I heard more than once from David and from Fella, almost as a natural thing when we were discussing shul politics, etc. So David said, he's our rabbi. We have to support him even if we don't agree. Unity. Running away from machlokas. Ohev shalom, rodev shalom. Ohev es habrios. Caring for people. These stories are legend. I was young relatively when I left Los Angeles, but we heard about them from the rabbis and from the people who were involved in the shul, as well as people from behind the scenes. The caring for people less fortunate. I think one of the rabbis mentioned that David always used to look for opportunities to help out poor people with loans or whatever, and there was for a while, he never got a call, and he saw the rabbi and he says, "Hey rabbi, I'm still in business." So most people would have thought he's in the real estate business. But of course David meant, I'm still in the business of helping people. How come you're not sending me people? Rodev shalom, ohev es habrios. He cared for the soldiers in Israel. He knew how difficult it is to be a soldier and how uncomfortable their day is. So he and Fella made sure to build a recreation center so that the soldiers can relax. Caring for people. And of course, Mikarvan LaTorah. Jewish education was primary in his value system. The institution that he was willing to have his name put on, and that all of you sitting here and the thousands of alumni who benefited from the opportunity to study, was because he was devoted to connecting people to their Jewish roots, connecting people to Torah. And the values of the institution, unity, caring for people, building the Jewish future through education, these were his values. This is the mission statement of the Jewish people. What enabled Jews who withstood tortures and indignities of the Nazis, who had every reason to just drop their connection to anything Jewish, as many of them did? What enabled them to endure and to build a life after the Holocaust, to rebuild the Jewish people? It's miraculous to see the endurance of the people who survived the Holocaust. It's miraculous to see the unbelievable blessings that these people were rewarded with and received after surviving. And you might think that it's miraculous that there were so many people like David, who was really a role model, to share those resources that he got as he rebuilt his life with his wife, Fella, she'ibara l'chaim tovim. You would think it's miraculous that they were sharing those resources. But it's not miraculous. Because the strength and the recognition that kept them going, the vision of the Jewish future, the vision of the dream of Jewish sovereignty, the conviction that Jewish people are always going to be here, and we have to stay alive for the Jewish future. That conviction is what motivated and enabled them, when they rebuilt their lives, to not just worry about rebuilding their lives, but to rebuilding the Jewish people. Someone who had every reason to walk away from Jewish destiny, devoted those gifts that he was given to build the state of Israel, something that was truly miraculous in his mind, to rebuild Jewish communities, the Jewish future, Jewish education. That requires a nobility. That requires a priestliness. And that was Mr. David Shapell, Zichrono Livracha. Noble, priestly. We put out a couple of the books of the tributes after he passed away 2 years ago, where alumni wrote in, but people who knew him also wrote in. Humility, nobility, sensitivity. We live in a generation that is blessed with all of the resources and things that Mr. Shapell, Zichrono Livracha, could only dream about as he was surviving the Holocaust. Jewish learning, Jewish communities, Jewish wealth. Dreaming about those things, we've got it. That sets, Mr. Shapell sets a very high bar for every one of us. Because when he didn't have it and he dreamed about it and he struggled to get it, and then he used it to build the Jewish people. He used it to help everyone. He used it to help the state of Israel. How liable does that make us when we have all these resources to make sure that we're using them properly, that we're using them for the community, for the Jewish future? The memory of David Shapell will be truly blessed. His neshama will truly soar if, in the merit of your commitment to using your talents and your resources, caring for individuals, doing what you can to strengthen Israel and the Jewish people, when you imbue those values here and you go out and you emulate those values and those behaviors, that is the greatest aliyah of the neshama that Mr. Shapell could ever dream about. It's a big challenge for us. We appreciate the opportunities that we have been given here in this institution, as so many Jews and Jewish institutions around the world appreciate what they were given. But it's a big mechayev. It makes us very responsible. I'm confident we will live up to that responsibility. Yehi zichro baruch.